let's move on to another topic, man. We're talking about Snoop Dogg right now. Legendary, iconic Snoop Dogg, most popular rapper of all time. Shout out to Snoop. He's under fire right now for comments that he made about a Buzz Lightyear movie dealing with LGBT. All right. So let me play you a clip from this podcast, and then, fair use, fair use. The media is saying Snoop Dogg has been criticized for being homophobic after saying he felt uncomfortable watching an LGBTQ plus couple in Lightyear with his grandson. So the movie Lightyear. Is it the Buzz Lightyear movie? Yeah. So Lightyear, the Buzz Lightyear movie. So we're gonna play this. Fair use, fair use. Let's listen.
What you see is what you see. They
Mm,
putting it everywhere.
yeah.
I took my grandson to see what was the movie with Buzz Light?
Toy Story.
Not that one, but
Oh, the new Buzz, the Lightyear. I think it's
yeah,
called
with
Lightyear.
Kiki Palmer's in that movie. So we
And shout out to, I guess this is the It's Giving podcast. I just want to make sure I'm giving you your credit so you don't flag my video, but fair use.
watching it, and she had a baby with a woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie, like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman.
Mm.
Oh shit. I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey man, watch the movie. They just said she had a baby. They both women's. How did she have a baby? So it's like, it fuck me. I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for. It threw me for a loop. I'm like, what part of the movie was this? These are kids that we have to show that at this age. Like,
All right. So when he said that, there are different headlines of Snoop being under fire. Let's look at some of these headlines of Snoop Dogg. Hold on. Let me show you this. So if you just type in and Google Snoop right now, look at what it is. Amid backlash to Snoop Dogg taking issue with Lightyear, people have dug up some very apt past comments. APT? What? Apt past comments from the film's lead, Chris Evans. Let's see. Snoop Dogg's 2004 cameo on lesbian TV drama goes viral amid controversy. Let me see. Lightyear writer defends film's lesbian couple after Snoop Dogg critique. I'm proud of it. T.S. Madison claps back at Snoop Dogg's homophobic comments. Homophobic. All right. Let me ask you this. What did Snoop say in that clip that was wrong? What did Snoop say in the comment that was homophobic? What did Snoop say in that video that was wrong? What did Snoop say in that video that's offensive towards anybody? I'm trying to figure it out because from what I heard, Snoop took his grandson to a movie. You had a lesbian couple on there, and then they had a child, and his grandson asked an honest question. See, I want you to think about this, man. When you're a kid, because I want to know when I was a kid, right? Kids ask a lot of questions. You're still trying to figure things out. I've worked with children in education. Children always try to figure out things, asking questions. When they get to those ages of like 3, all the way up until like 7, 8, probably like 7 years old, those are years to where they wanted to know about the world, how things work. Okay. So we know how we all got here. Okay. Man gets with woman, they have a child. Now, in 2025, you have same-sex couples that have children, whether they do it from a surrogate or they adopt a person. But you can see same-sex couples have children. But when a child has a mother and a father, and then they know that, hey, that's how I got here, he's questioning how come they have a child. How can a same-sex couple have a child, whatever the case may be. When you put stuff like that in films, right? Cartoons, whatever the case may be, it's not being offensive if I say I don't want my child asking me those types of questions, because it's not just a homosexual thing, it's a heterosexual thing too. If I have children or have worked with kids and like at the school, you can't play certain movies in schools. Like a male and a female just kissing all over each other and stuff like that. Like you don't do that. You know, kids are gonna want to know what it is. And all Snoop said is, I didn't feel comfortable talking about that. Now, if he said, I don't think same-sex couples should be in movies, I don't think same-sex couples should have babies and everything like that, then you could probably try to be offended. You could probably be offended about it. But he simply said, I'm sticking to the root of what it is, because I could have my opinions about same-sex couples, whatever the case may be. I didn't hear none of that. All I heard was, how am I supposed to explain? I'm trying to get past it. It's everywhere in films. I don't feel comfortable talking to my grandchild about that. What's the issue? What is the issue of what he said? But that's when the far left and the liberals, in the media, they still, let's be honest, they're mad at Snoop because of the Trump thing. You know what I'm saying? Like him performing at the Trump inauguration and stuff like that. They're still mad and salty about that. But morally, what is wrong with what Snoop said, how he felt? You shouldn't have to explain that to no child, because that's a lot to process. You shouldn't have to explain opposite sex stuff to a child like that. You know what I'm saying? Not in no films, no movies, no cartoons. You know what I'm saying? Because when you add in that, it's can sexualize, like it's talking about sex at the end of the day, because a child is asking that question, and it's like, how did they get here? We know when we reproduce, that's sexually. So it's just not right. And the thing is, if you can't comment on that without being scrutinized and everything being blown over proportion, that means that you don't have a right to be a parent. Everybody has a right to parent how they want to parent. Now, if it's abuse or anything like that, no. You know what I'm saying? But when different religions and different races, different cultures have different ways that they teach children things. But at the end of the day, a child is innocent, especially in that age range. I'm not sure how old his grandchild was, but certain things like that shouldn't be depicted in films. That's confusing, but they do that on purpose. You know what I'm saying? These liberals, they do that on purpose. And when you call it out, now you're the bad guy. Now you're homophobic. Now, he did say, hey, I'm scared to go to the movies, but not scared of homosexuality. He said, I'm scared to go to the movies because I'm in an uncomfortable situation to where I have to stop the movie. Like if I go to the movies, I can't just stop it. Now at the house, I can do that. But when you're just trying to simply enjoy a movie and then you throw that in there, now it makes the parent uncomfortable, because you have to figure out, what's the safest way to say this? What's the safest way to say this to where my kid ain't gonna be asking me no more other questions, or them feeling uncomfortable, whatever the case may be. It's like, how do I do this? But people will blow it up and make it a big issue and a big deal, and then want to throw the whole label on you, homophobic and stuff like that. No, he didn't say that he was scared of gay people, LGBT people, whatever. Shout out to the representation that you want to have, but to put it in children's movies, things are going to be like this. People are going to want to, they're going to have questions. Kids are going to want to have questions, and it creates this difficulty. At the end of the day, Snoop Dogg said nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong. You could be mad at him with the whole Trump thing, but if you were a parent, and I'm speaking to just anybody, like, how would you feel if not a same-sex couple, but opposite sex couple, so they're kissing each other, and then they're talking about having babies and all this other stuff. Like, cartoons are supposed to be innocent. Now they could have a child, and hey, this is our son, hey, this is our daughter. But from my understanding, they the lesbians couple, they kissed on each other, and then they have a baby, and we know, woman and woman, they can have surrogates. Woman and woman, same-sex couples, they can have children, but in a different way. But that can confuse a child and conflict everything. So I don't think nothing Snoop said was wrong. All he did was say he was uncomfortable talking to his grandchild about that. What's the problem? But we know what the problem is. They want to push these agendas. And then if we question it or we say anything about it, we're homophobic, which isn't cool. So y'all let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think Snoop was wrong? Do you think that they were right for the representation and all this other stuff? Or if it is going to be that, how come they don't label that? You know what I'm saying? Because if something is PG-13 rated R, you have to say, hey, this isn't made for kids. But you can say this other stuff is. You know what I'm saying? So we know what's going on, y'all. We already know. I'm not surprised they did this, but I think it's a combination of them being mad about the Trump thing, and then also with Snoop, his background being a gangster rapper and stuff like that. Because I think Mark Lamont Hill says some stuff like, well, what about his grandson asking about nothing but a G thing and bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks? Hopefully his grandson ain't listening to that. But if he stumbled across it, that's a conversation for them to have. So don't criticize Snoop for that. He's just simply taking to his grandchildren or grandchild out to the movie. So y'all let me know in the comments what you think about that. I don't think Snoop said nothing wrong.